Good morning, everyone. I'm Patrice Perkins Hooker, and I'm chair of the Board of Registration, and I am calling this meeting to order. I do want to note for the record that we had technical difficulties, and so we're starting this meeting at 10:10 due to the fact that we could not access the audio and integrate that into the live feed. So this meeting is being recorded in its entirety, but it will be broadcast after the conclusion of the meeting on the FGTV site and YouTube. The members of the board, you have before you a copy of the agenda or proposed agenda for the meeting. And Ms. Secretary, do we do an actual roll call of attendance, or did I miss that? Who's appointed, and we have one vacancy. But we're going to, you all have had a chance to review the agenda prior to the meeting. Can I get a motion to approve the same?
So moved. Second.
All right, and I have one addition to the agenda. I'm so sorry. And that addition is we have to review and approve an amendment to the intergovernmental agreement for provision of electronic equipment between Fulton County and the city of Milton. They need additional equipment, and as a result, we have to entertain a motion to amend their agreement. We have to actually look at the agreement and amend it, and then we have to send that on to the Board of Commissioners in time for them to conduct their elections. So can
I rescind my second. I rescind my motion.
all right. So can I get a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
Motion to approve the agenda as amended.
All right, Ms. Crawford.
Second.
Second is Mr. Johnson. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Are any opposed? Okay, let that be reflected as unanimous. Madam, are you secretary or clerk, Marissa? Secretary, Madam Secretary, are there any public comments? Just these two? All right, I'm going to proceed with calling the parties for public comments up to the podium in the order in which the speakers' cards were submitted. The information on the agenda is that speakers are to be granted up to 2 minutes for a total of 60 minutes per meeting. Mr. Ferguson, you were the first to submit a card. Would you please state your name and your address? Actually, I think we can keep the address from here, but just state your name, and if you're a resident of Fulton County, it's fine for me.
Earl Ferguson, I'm a voter in Fulton County.
Mr. Ferguson, is he live? Okay, go ahead. I want to make sure your comments are.
All right. I'm Earl Ferguson. I'm a resident of Fulton County, a registered voter. I live on Moores Mill Road in Atlanta. We have a legal problem in our election process, and I'd like to discuss an opportunity to resolve that problem. OCGA 21-2-300, parent A, parent 2 ends with the following statement. Electronic ballot markers shall produce paper ballots which are marked with elector's choice in a format readable by the elector. There's no mention of QR codes here or in any other Georgia code reference that I have found. Our VMDs provide that ballot, but adds a QR code on the ballot sheet. That QR code is not readable by the elector and thus is not a legal ballot per the above code section. Since QR codes is used to provide ballot choices to the scanner, the results reported by the machine are not acceptable. This is not new, but it's been ignored. Now the time has come to return to the rule of law and remove the QR code from the voting process. If you certify the next election with the results based on the use of the QR code, will be violating the oath to obey the law that you swore when you accepted the responsibility of membership on this board, and you can expect to be challenged. Increasing amounts of actual data on the vulnerability of the Dominion machine for fraud are being released. This leads to a strong movement for a return to hand-processed paper ballots. Here in Milton, the city of Fulton will be using them this fall, and our neighbors in Spalding County will also. The fall's election cycle has only city election plus the Atlanta School Board, where turnout will be light. This provides a valuable opportunity to develop a system of manually counting paper ballots. The QR code is what, I'd like to request another 10 seconds.
Of keeping it at 2 minutes out of respect for everyone else who's had to live by that rule. Thank you very much for your comment. If you have them in writing, you can submit them to us for the board so we can have the conclusion. Our next speaker is Julie Allen. Ms. Allen? Okay, so that's no, okay. I have no additional speakers cards. All right, so we're going to move on to old business. On the first item of old business, it says approval of the regular meeting minutes for July 13th. I'm going to request that we defer that. There are several edits that need to be made to that those minutes, and we haven't had a chance to get them back to our secretary. So unless someone has an objection, all right, then we will.
So moved.
Yeah, we don't have to do that, but we are going to do that. Just make sure she's there. So we have a motion and a second to defer the approval of the minutes for the regular meeting of July 13th into our next meeting. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that's unanimous. Also in the on the agenda is our monthly operations report for July and our staff. I am looking forward to seeing what wonderful things you have done and hearing about those, and the fact that you have done them while moving into this wonderful facility is truly amazing. So, Director Williams.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. We again would like to say thank you to the county manager and the board of commissioners for this facility. Staff did a wonderful job in setting up the ribbon cutting ceremony. I think everyone was pleased with that ceremony. We will start our monthly operation report on page 13 to begin with the Deputy Director Projects.
Good morning, Board. For the month of July, the report reflects or goes as follows. We continued progression towards the national certification by taking the following SERA courses: election information, access and security, along with strategic planning and budgeting. We worked towards procuring the absentee by mail equipment, the replacement for the previous equipment that was prepared and requested to go before the Board of Commissioners for approval. We received approval for the procurement of that equipment on August the 2nd. We continue to work with the county attorney to settle out the previous vendor and agreement for the old absentee by mail equipment. As far as internal operations, we focused on, of course, packing and moving into the new facility. We began developing the continuity of operations plan for each division, as well as establishing an employee recognition service program. This concludes my report for the month of July. Or is this August?
Mr. Eskridge, can you please use the actual spelling of the names rather than acronyms? Because all of us don't know what the acronyms are. The CERA is in your report, and so to the extent that we can, even if you put it in parentheses because you're going to use it multiple times,
Yes,
the first
ma'am.
time just spell it out because that would help everybody up here.
Yes, ma'am, will do.
Thank you.
On page 14, absentee.
Okay, good morning again. So in the month of July, the absentee division monitored all outlets for absentee requests. We reviewed procedures that impact the upcoming municipal election. We assisted voter registration with processing DDS applications. We actually helped to reduce the number. When we started, it was around 38,000. When I checked this morning, it was 7,000 applications left. We researched multiple SEB State Elections Board investigations from 2020. As Mr. Eskridge stated, we did select an absentee vote by mail vendor for the equipment. Most of our REEF submissions have been resolved. There have been several updates to Jarvis. We updated training material to prepare for our supplemental staff return. We attended the Region 3 meeting, and that's just a discussion with neighboring counties regarding any issues we're having. We attended the SCB hearing preparation meeting. We continue to review Jarvis for enhancements and update our standard operating procedures. We began accepting applications in a little over a week on August 21st for absentee requests. We began actually mailing ballots on October 16th. The deadline to submit an application is October 27th. To date, we have received 12 applications, which have all been rejected because they were received too early. And this concludes the absentee report.
Now, one thing I forgot, I need to go back to see if the members of the board had any questions about the deputy director's report and then also the absentee division report. If you had any questions, now is the time to ask them, and I forgot to ask that. I'll go as we do one report at a time. I'll make certain I catch that.
Thanks, Madam Chairman. A question to Mr. Eskridge and Ms. Britton as well, I suppose. What sort of machines are involved with the absentee ballot? You said we got a new vendor for the machines.
Yes, sir. So it's there's two machines. So one is it's an outgoing system. It's a high volume machine that actually prints the ballots. It's synced with Jarvis to get all of the information needed. It prints the ballots and it sorts them, according to precinct or however we set it up. When the ballots come back, we're able to actually scan the barcode, which makes it easier to give credit for voting. We can track where the ballots are. Anytime the ballot moves in the postal system, we'll be able to see once the barcode is scanned.
Thanks. I'm just curious. Oh, so you're not talking about replacing those things that open the envelopes and tear the absentee ballots in half?
No, the OPEX
Remember,
machine. We'll
I'm
still
sorry,
have
just
that.
kidding. Yes. Okay, thank you.
Questions from any other board members? All right, thank you.
On page 15, administration.
Good morning. For the month of July, administration performed routine administrative functions such as submitting requisitions to establish purchasing orders, processed and submitted invoices for payment, and preparing monthly reconciliation reports for purchase, as well as the travel card. Our following vacancies are as follows. We are currently recruiting for the position officer, along with the registration chief. Both of those, the registration chief has been, the posting has been extended, thank you, ma'am, until the end of this month, August 31st. The absentee manager posted, I believe, on Wednesday of this week, and will conclude at the end of week as far as closing out that position, as well as the courier position, which is a time-limited position. That recruitment process has begun with the posting and processing of applications through HR. And in regards to the campaign contribution disclosure, we reported 10 non-filers for the State Finance Commission, and this concludes the administration report for the month of July.
Okay, and so you are not Janice Dickinson. You were,
No, ma'am.
Mr. Eskridge, you were reporting on behalf of Janice Dickinson.
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
Just make sure the record is reflected correctly. Now, who were the 10 non-filers?
I would have to get that information
Okay,
to
well,
you.
please send it to us and make
Yes,
certain that the report reflects the names of those
Will do,
folks
yes, ma'am.
and the, I guess, the positions they're running for.
Yes, ma'am.
Is this live? Ms. Crawford has a question.
Um, the courier, are those the ones that are running from when supplies are out? Are those the couriers?
Correct, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
That position is in the supply and logistics division,
Right.
and that is one of the functions of it.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
On page 16, advanced voting.
Hi, good morning, board. I'm excited to say that we have moved into a new election hub and operations center, and we are in the process of settling in and organizing our new workspace. Kudos to all staff. But now it's time for plan for the municipal election. So my focusing will be on recruitment of AV staff. We will continue our goals as reviewing our existing training curriculum. We are meeting with our management staff to develop all different curriculum. We are updating our quick tips, our training manual. Again, we are introducing our part-time shift schedule. We all saw that we worked together as a team for the grand opening, and now we have also been having budget meetings for the 2024 elections, getting ready, getting prepared for all 2024 election events. I have here, whereas my quantity needs for the municipal election will be 14 managers, 28 assistant managers, and 56 early voting clerks. That concludes my report. Thank you, board.
Any questions from any members of the board? Mr. Johnson?
Actually, no.
Okay. I just want something to be reflected in the record. The quantity, the voting locations at 14 is the max that we can have, or is that what you said we can staff? How did we come up with 14?
14 was to remain within the budget constraints that we had from what was guided by the VOC. So we had to stay within that budget limit, and there was an additional site. The city of Roswell opted to pay for an additional location.
So how many locations are in each, since we've got 15 cities, we're not even having a voting location in each city.
Well, the city of Milton will, of course, do their own election with their own advanced voting site. Sandy Springs does not have an election this year.
Okay.
And Palmetto is also doing their own election.
And so have we received any feedback from anyone else with regard to whether or not that a sufficient number of advanced voting sites?
All the cities have been made aware of what locations we're utilizing.
And no one said we need another one?
No, they were advised if they did want another one, what the cost would be, and they have not opted to take that option at this time.
Thank you.
On page 17, elections.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. In the month of July, the Election Division communicated with all cities to whom will be conducting their November 2023 municipal election. All participating cities were sent their ballot building survey and also their question to be placed on the ballot forms for completion. To date, all cities have completed and returned their respective ballot building survey form, indicating all contests to be placed on their November municipal election ballot. Regarding questions to be placed on the ballot, only the city of College Park has submitted this request for adding question on their November ballot. The question in its short title reads, City of College Park Senior and Disabled Residents Homestead Exemption Referendum. We are still waiting on confirmation from the City of South Fulton and the City of Mountain Park, who has requested additional time for their submissions. Currently, the deadline for this submission is August 29th, and all other cities have confirmed that they will be adding no questions to their respective ballots. And this concludes the elections report for the month of July.
Any questions from any of the members of the board? Ms. Crawford?
Mr. Ross, on the extension that has been given to College Park, Do
So
they,
to the city of South Fulton and the city of Mountain Park.
Mountain Park, sorry, not College Park, Mountain Park, I apologize. It- They just don't know yet if they're going to have a question, or?
In terms of the city of Mountain Park, they have their annual meeting on the 28th. So we've given them the time to make the decision, and then we'll accept whatever confirmation on the 29th.
Okay, how does that impact us as far as doing what we have to do after they let us know?
We should not be impacted significantly because we have until September 8th to make sure all inputs are made into Garvis.
Okay,
So we should be okay.
okay. All right, great. Thank you.
No problem.
So I'm trying to summarize what you said. The deadline for everybody else to submit their information is August 29th to your elections division for the ballots. But the September 8th deadline is for us to send everything to Jarvis so they can print up ballots, et cetera.
That's correct, Madam
Okay.
Chair.
Any other questions, members? All right, I noticed at the bottom, Election Day, are you going to cover that?
Currently, the Election Day Division is working on poll worker, poll worker portal, while also working on information to be sent to poll manager regarding recruitment. Finishing up preparing for the grand opening, setting the election training kiosk up, and all that has been completed, seeing that we already had the grand opening. Of course, our quantities for position needed, poll managers, 158, assistant manager, 316, clerks, 1,026, and technician is 158. All recruiting should be in track. Staff should be on board pretty soon. So we'll be in the process of recruiting staff. We did summarize spreadsheets in preparation based on previous workers. So once staff come on board, the process should be pretty smooth once we get started.
So I'm sorry, they don't have any dates on the information you provided. When are you planning on starting the recruitment for each of these positions, and when is the training proposed? You have a projected date, so when are you starting to train people?
Oh, so basically, our election officer manager who's over this, she have started organizing spreadsheets for this process. But if you could back me up, staff should be starting. We need our regional coordinator to get the process going. And in terms of training, you could confirm the training date?
So recruitment has already begun.
Yeah.
Although we do not have the temporary staff, the contract was just approved by the BOC to bring in our regional coordinators. Their election officer has started recruitment. And training should begin in September. If I have that date correct, I don't have it in front of me. I apologize, but I do
I
believe
think
training
she did say
begins
September.
in September.
Yes.
But the reason I'm asking for members of the board who've been here and for new people is that this is our weak link. This is where the people who are out there in the trenches, who are not our staff permanently, are liable to make mistakes. So I don't want them to be rushed. I want training to be complete. I appreciate the efforts to update the curriculum, but I want to make certain we have enough time so these people are actually trained, can develop some questions, can have some hands-on, which is wonderful, hands-on experience, such that we have a zero tolerance for mistakes. And if they are told that in the beginning, they will ask you for more assistance and more training. I know that already because I've been through this training before. So I want to make certain they have time to do that before the November election. So it's good that you're going to start the training in September. We have wonderful facilities for it. We can get a lot of bodies through here, but allow the bodies to come back again if they're confused, have questions, or they receive inadequate training from the people who are hiring them as temporary staffing. By all means, answer it, comment on it. That's my
Yes.
preference.
So training has been enhanced for election day and advanced voting. What both divisions are doing now, because of course, human nature, you train people one way and they do something else in the field. So both election day and advanced voting are putting compliance officers that will be in the field doing inspections at every site. We're adding that to the 2024 budget. And we'll give more details on that as we approach that day. But that is something that both divisions are working on.
Looking forward to seeing the plans at our September meeting. Any other questions or statements from members of the board? All right.
On page 18, finance.
Good morning. The finance report for July, we are working on the draft of the 2024 elections budget as well as the operations budget. The finance department, we are due to report in our 2024 operations and elections budgets by August 31st, 2023. We have previously submitted our capital asset budget. We're waiting, hearing the Finance Budget Committee to see if the vehicles that we requested have been approved. That was a vehicle request for the Elections Department. We also are tracking our budget to actual status for our 2023 budgets, and we are tracking along that. For our budget to actual, still looking pretty good. As far as cash receipts from the municipalities, we've received funds from all cities with the exception of City of Atlanta, which we're continuing to follow up to receive that last payment in for the November municipal election. So that is the status of the collections of cash receipts for the municipal upcoming election. As you see there, our budget remains as it was last month for the municipal election as well as the operating budget. We have received in the last BOC meeting on August 2nd the approval of the use of the two temp agencies, Abacus and Dover Staffing. We are waiting to get the executed contracts for both temp agencies so that we can start the onboarding of the temporary staffing that are needed for the fall election. That is the update on the finance report.
Any questions from any members of the board? Now, I want you all to know that I did request in our minutes, as it reflected, I requested a copy of the draft budget by August the 1st. That was an impossibility due to the relocation, the move, et cetera, and the time frame for submission deadlines by Fulton County. So they are still working with the budget committee, and I think you all have a meeting next week or this
August 24th.
Right. So they have a meeting on August 24th to even get through the preliminary process with Fulton County budget. And then I have requested that they submit that budget to us for us to review, because I am not convinced that we may not want to make modifications to it or propose modifications that we might have to kind of work to get. But I need to see what comes out of that process and respect the process and the integrity of that process. So I just wanted you all to know I have been following up with them on that. And while I've been told that we don't approve the budget, we do have input into it, and we are encouraged to support the BOC's adoption of the recommended budget from our department.
On page 19, information systems.
Good morning, Madam Chair and the board. For the month of July, the move to this facility, Elections Hub and Operations Center, was completed. All voting equipment was securely moved from our Elections Preparation Center and our Philip Lee warehouse to this facility, the Elections Hub and Operations Center. The information systems staff scanned all voting equipment and other critical assets from the Philip Lee warehouse and our Elections Preparation Center using our inventory system, which was used as a tracking device from its current location to the new warehouse. As the voting equipment and critical assets were delivered at the Election Hub warehouse, the items were received and scanned and placed in its distinct location using our inventory system. The election management server and its workstations were also relocated from our Elections Preparation Center to the Elections Hub warehouse, accompanied by a Fulton County police escort. It was placed in its secure location, which is a see-through server cage in the elections warehouse. The server was then connected and is properly working. Also, the Secretary of State Center for Election Systems reported to the new warehouse and conducted a compliance and acceptance testing on the server and all the workstations and scanners connected to the server. Testing was successful and the server is ready to go. This concludes the information system report for the month of July. Thank you.
All right, and who presented it for Mr. Alamo?
Derek Gilstrap.
Thank you, Mr. Gilstrap. I have just a question to make certain I address, as I said in my opening remarks at my first meeting. I'm going to stop all misinformation in its tracks. Has there been any reported incidents of problems with the Dominion machines or any type of software issues with them that would inhibit their ability to count all of our ballots and votes correctly? None at all. Is that correct? And the Secretary of State's office has been here physically, has checked all of these machines.
They haven't checked all the machines. They've checked the server and the workstation.
The server.
In the server room. They're planning on doing a check with the server to make sure that the touch screens work well with the server, and they're going to come back out in the next 2 weeks to do that.
Okay, thank you very much.
On page 20, registration.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board, Fulton County citizens. The monthly report provides a summary of the Registration Division's activities for the month of July 2023. Active voters, 770,216. Inactive voters, 101,683, for a total of 871,899. Total applications to be processed was 26,756 at the end of the month, and as reported through absentee, our staff has truly come through, and the DDS tile is down to 7,000 this morning. Yay. Okay.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! Kudos, registration, absentee, VEO, everyone has taken.
Kudos.
Yes,
7,000.
okay.
That is phenomenal for Fulton County. Keep on going.
We going. New registrations to Fulton County, 740. Transfers to Fulton County, 7,438. Transfers from Fulton, 232. Removals, which are our canceled voters, 238. Our front office operations for the month of July total 323. Customer service at our 3 locations. We now have 4 because we weren't able to close the South Annex at this time. Under our list maintenance, last month we were asked about our felons and when would you see the report for felons again. We have not been able to process them. There's a glitch with the reef ticket through the Secretary of State's office to fix the letters that come with that. In the month of August, we will proceed if they don't fix the letters that the felons receive. Felons receive a letter giving them an opportunity to have a hearing or provide documentation stating that they have served their sentence. The letter part is not working, so we will begin to manually prepare letters if the system does not come back alive. And I needed to ask if this board would like to have the list or just the number of felons that we are processing through the month.
Madam.
The numbers.
All right, it's a consensus up here that we just want the numbers. I want to respect the privacy of the individuals who have fulfilled their obligations to society and not rehash their names when there's no need to do that. Okay. But you do have to keep the numbers and report on the numbers, and then let us know if there are any requests for hearings so we can set that up appropriately. And please make certain that you're working with our attorneys to make certain that the letter as you drafted, it does meet legal sufficiency for purposes of meeting the statutory requirements.
Yes,
If
ma'am.
we do it versus using the Secretary of State's office. I want to make a double check on that, okay?
Okay. Any other questions?
Yes. Mr. P-
Thanks, Madam Chairwoman. The DDS metric that gathered such applause here, it's not on the phone. What is
I am
that
so
entail?
sorry.
That's okay.
It is the Department of Driver
I'm just learning.
Services.
I understand that part. but
Okay.
What is the metric? I mean, what was the 7,000 something?
Oh, that's what's remaining to be processed.
In what sense?
And the total at one point was 43,000.
Okay, could you explain what is being processed? What exactly is being processed?
Okay. Each time a citizen goes to the driver services to renew their license, you register to vote or we update your information. So then that is fed through to the voter registration system. Okay.
That answers.
And so we make all the updates.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Any other questions?
No question, but thank you for following up on the felony question from last month. Thank you.
Okay.
Formally commend your staff for doing this. I know you're new to this and you've taken on the job from Ms. Marshall, but for those who are new, to get down to 7,000 applications to be processed in Fulton County is phenomenal, and that makes me feel like we're going to have them done before we have to mail out the early voting absentee voting form. So I really appreciate that, and I hope that your team continues to do this in this lovely facility where they have plenty of space and opportunity to work and all of the equipment working, electrical outlets, such that we can get that done. Thank you.
Okay. On page 21, supplies and logistics.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. For the month of July, the Supply and Logistics Division's main focus was organizing and supporting the department's move to the new Elections Hub and Operations Center. The staff worked to label and palletize supplies at both the Philip Lee Warehouse and the Election Preparation Center, and they also provided support for the Government Center Move Plan. At the new Elections Hub and Operations Center, the staff has worked on unpacking the inventory items and organizing the warehouse space, along with assisting other divisions with their unpacking process. The division also worked on signage requirements, polling site contact updates, and supply checklist changes for the upcoming November 7th, 2023 municipal elections. And that concludes our report.
Questions from any members of the board? I want to commend your department for doing a superb job of coordinating with the county. The transition here was flawless. The equipment and all of the furniture and everything that came over here was here in place and working by the dates that you all, in fact, ahead of the dates that you had established. So congratulations. I know it took a cooperative effort, everybody, but those are the boots on the ground when it comes to logistics, supplies, labeling and stuff for a massive move like this. Congratulations, congratulations, congratulations.
On page 22, voter education.
Good morning, Madam Chair and board members and citizens watching and in the audience. The month of July, the Voter Education and Outreach Team Speak Up. In the month of July, the voter it's not working. Okay. I got you. So during the month of July, the Voter Education and Outreach Team focused on back to school events, as well as we partner where we wanted to do a partnership with our Fulton County libraries. And so we have contacted every library in the county, and we are actually doing voter education pop-up events at every library. As of this report, it was 3 that were not confirmed, but as of today, we have confirmed all of our libraries. We're also now beginning to reach out to the senior centers as they like for us to come and help them fill out their absentee applications. So starting this week, I have my team reaching out to the senior centers that we typically go to, as well as looking for new ones just to make sure that we can get their information updated in the system. If it's not, get their absentee application, and as well as get their voter identification cards if needed. We also help to plan the grand opening event, and so we focused on that in July. And then lastly, we continue to help process DDS applications with our registration department. And then once qualifying week ends, August 25th, I will then be reaching out to all of our municipalities to get voter education outreach events scheduled in every city. And that concludes our report.
Any questions from any members of the board? Okay. Did have one question, not really one question, one statement to the public at large. If you want a voter education training project or program in your locale or for your group, please contact the Fulton County Department of Registration and Elections, and they will accommodate you. We are equal opportunity elections information, voter information disseminators. So if you need that type of assistance, please let us know. And then if there are any other senior citizens centers or facilities or rec centers, etc., who'd like to have assistance with absentee ballot processing, just let us know, and we will make certain that we do that for you.
Thank you. That concludes the operations report.
That's it. I just want to make certain that you didn't have anything to add.
That concludes the operations report.
Okay, all right. So, members, if you have any questions about anything before we move on? Yes.
Yes, thanks. In our board materials, there is an excerpt from the Buzz. What is the Buzz? Is that Secretary of State or is it DRE? Or?
Yes, it's a communication platform from the Secretary of State where counties communicate with one another.
Like a chat room?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks.
I'm going to ask, just for the record, where are we with Jarvis? Is it working?
It is working. There are some glitches. Staff, as they come across those, they put in RIF tickets.
And a RIF ticket is a what?
I don't know what the RIF stands for. It's a
Request for information or request what?
It's a request. The purpose of it is to request a fix.
A fix.
I don't know what the acronym stands for, even if it's
It's a RIF ticket, okay.
but it's REIF, R-E-I-F.
R-E-I-F, okay.
And so we submit those when we come across a problem in the county that we need them to fix in order for us to process our work.
Okay.
So as we work through problems, we submit the REIF tickets, and that's how the Secretary of State's office systems, I think I speak loud enough, but they correct, they fix the issues that we have if they can. If not, they do in the Buzz, you will see different items that they are working on that we have submitted as problems.
And so we do a workaround, like you just mentioned before when you were describing sending out the letters yourself to felons. If the Jarvis system isn't working and the list can't be generated, we will send out our own. That's correct? We try
Certain
to work.
things, we have a workaround.
All right. Yes, Mr. Keegan.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, Chairwoman. On page 26 in the Buzz, about halfway down, it talks about a business address tool that flags a registration on a street segment that's been identified as a business address. When is that flagged? Is it flagged at registration or sometime later, or how does that work?
Okay, so this is new in Jarvis, that we are able to flag business addresses so that our staff won't register someone to that address. So we have to put those addresses in to flag them.
Right.
They are not all in, but those that are have been flagged using this tool.
Okay, and the workflow, first of all, it's functional now, and
It is functional.
It's deployed by the DRE.
From this office, yes.
Yes.
Each individual county
Yes, I'm
Yes,
sorry, by the,
okay.
by the Fulton County.
By Fulton County, yes.
And is it when the data is input or later? Where in the workflow does it get flagged? If you know?
When the address, no address is automatically in our system.
Yes.
All have to be entered or created based on Fulton County's GIS records put into that system. So what transferred over from our old system, some of those addresses are still commercial addresses. So as we come upon them, then we're able to flag them. And then going forward, if we receive someone tries to register at a new one, we flag it and of course we reject that application and let them know this is a commercial address. We need you to give us your residence.
Thanks. So in the case of a new registration, then it's flagged at data input.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
If we have knowledge it's a business address. So if
Yes.
you were to register tomorrow at an address that we do not know.
Sure.
But unless we would not be able to say, oh, we're not the police of addresses
Understand.
to say we know it's a business or not. It could be a mixed-use building, things of that nature. But we do have a GIS tool when it's up and running from the link from Jarvis to GIS. It's not mandatory for this, but we're doing this to keep our border rolls clean. Every 2 weeks, GIS will do a sweep to see if they identify anything in the system. But we have to get that link from the SOS to get that up and running.
Thanks, Ms. Williams.
And this particular process, just so you know, Mr. Heakin, was set up by the BRE last year, and they got a consultant, and Fulton County funded the consultant to come in and develop a way of trying to track down commercial addresses and to update our county GIS system so we can be more efficient than the state version to try and catch them sooner. So now we're trying to get the link between our county GIS system and the state's database to flag addresses that need to have the registrants notified of the fact that their address is commercial versus residential. But previously, that was not very easily done.
Thank you. And one more question. Who was the consultant that we hired? Was that the
Blue Raster?
Blue, okay. I saw that in the, I'm trying to catch up to speed. I saw that mentioned. I wasn't sure if that was it. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, any other questions or statements? All right. We have some new business to attend to. They involve the approval of advance voting changes at 2 locations, the East Point First Malibu United Methodist Church, and the South Fulton Service Center is going to replace the EHOC, which I don't even, the initials again. Thank you. I'm going like EHOC. All right, whatever that is. We need to stop. We need to stop doing that. That's one of the problems. I remember Fulton County always used to have alphabetitis, and everything was an acronym. But anyway, so everyone has looked at those matters and the requests from the department. And Ms. Williams, do you have anything else you want to add, or you just want us to vote based on the information presented?
Clarify that East Point Library was initially approved by the board. It is undergoing renovations. It's undergoing a renovation, so therefore we want to move to East Point First Malibu Church, and the church has agreed to become a
And they are right across the street from each other.
Yes. And secondly, it was a recommendation of our board, instead of utilizing this facility, which is the Elections Hub Operations Center, which is EHOC, we will remain at the South Annex, since it's more centralized and is currently on a bus line compared to when a bus line gets established here. We will utilize this facility and the South Annex in 2024 will be our proposal.
Yeah, I think that made a lot more sense to me, just because you can't get here unless you pack a bag and a lunch. You can't get there from here. All right, so are there any questions from any members of the board? I'll entertain a motion to approve the changes in advanced voting center locations.
Motion to approve changes in advanced voting systems.
Okay.
Centers. Systems.
All right, it's been moved by Mr. Johnson and second by Ms. Crawford that we approve the staff recommendations for advanced voting change locations. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Say no. All right, unanimously approved. And then we have to approve the amendment to the City of Milton's basically agreement to add a different, to add additional elections equipment. Just got to get the tongue untied. I'd like to get a motion that we approve the amendment to add the additional machinery. It's still not going to come as a cost to the county, but that we do so with the proviso that the county attorney's office prepare the correct final version of the same to present to the Board of Commissioners.
Is that referred to the date?
Yes, that is referred to the date.
So moved.
All right. It's been moved by Mr. Johnson and seconded by Mr. Heakin to approve the amendment. And this, again, our approval means it has to go to the board because the Board of Commissioners is the official contracting entity for Fulton County. They just do so based upon our recommendation. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, let the record reflect that that's unanimously approved as well. Any other comments or reflections on any other new matters that need to come before the board? Okay, I'd like to entertain a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel matters and litigation status update.
So moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
We are going to recess for a few minutes. It won't take us probably very long to do this, but I do want to give an opportunity for us to discuss some things in executive session. All right, I need to have a motion to reconvene from executive session.
Motion to reconvene from executive session.
Second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. We have two matters that we need to take up that arose from executive session. The first matter is I need a motion to recommend that we include in the budget an increase for the executive director of 3% to be included in the salaries for the proposed salaries for 2024 budget.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 Okay. And then the next one is that we need to, I need a motion to request that the Board of Commissioners can increase the salaries, the stipends of the members of the Board of Registration and Election to $500 and $600 from the current $250 and $300, or $350. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Huh? The motion is for the Board of Commissioners to approve increasing the monthly stipend for the members of the Board of Registration and Elections from the current levels to $500 and $600. There is a difference between the members and the chair. And frankly, I can't remember the exact number. I don't know if it's 200, 250, or 300, 350. All right, so we want that. Now, that has to be, we had it moved and seconded by Mr.
I think I moved.
Okay. All right, so Mr. Heakin moved, and then Mr. Johnson seconded it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. All right, what will happen, just so y'all know to get this right, we need to have the proposal for those two items have to move to the Board of Commissioners separately. The executive director works for the Board of Registration and Election, but she's hired and her salary and everything is approved by the Board of Commissioners. And then the stipends that are awarded to the members of the board are also approved by the Board of Commissioners, so they need to be two agenda items, two separate agenda items, and then they get factored into our budget. All right, any other questions or matters before the board? All right, then hope that you all have a wonderful rest of your week and weekend. And since we have concluded our meeting, we can have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.